In the Legend of Zelda series, Link has almost always done well with the ladies, whether he tried or not. Today I'm pleased to share with you part 3 of my Link's Love series. Just like with part 2, I opened a poll to decide which Link's Loves we would analyze next, and our winner is the Hero of Legend, who appears in A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and debatably, the Oracle series, for reasons I can go into later. Without further delay, let's get started. I'm your host Andy, and welcome to Zeldom. In full discretion, the older games in this series tend to have less romantic content compared to the newer games, so this analysis, as well as the future parts of this Link's Love series, will definitely be shorter than their predecessors. Despite this, there is a reason as to why so many of you voted for this video next. Hang on there, Marin, we still have a bit of content to cover before we get to you. Based on the intro, some of you may be wondering why I'm including the Oracle of Ages and Seasons into this video with A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening. I've done this because the timeline in the Hyrule Historia slapped the Oracle games between them. I also think this would make sense because the ship Link departs on at the end of the Oracle games resembles the one that Link is sailing on at the beginning of Link's Awakening. Despite this, the Zelda Encyclopedia later modified this timeline and labeled the Oracle games as a different era and thus a different Link that occurs after Link's Awakening. It also has a footnote that addresses this change and says it ultimately is up to interpretation. For fans like me who want a solid canonical structure, this is disappointing. But this means for the sake of the video, I'll go ahead and include the Oracle games in the analysis and provide 2 conclusions for the 2 different timeline possibilities. With that out of the way, let's begin with the first game for the Hero of Legend, A Link to the Past. In the original version of the game for the SNES, the witch's apprentice at the potion shop would give Link a free sample and restore his hearts whenever he talked to her. In the GBA remake, the apprentice was replaced by Maple, but with no change in interaction. She also makes an appearance in the Oracle games where there's a bit more to discuss, but since she doesn't really have any significance in A Link to the Past, we'll have to come back to her when we discuss the content from Oracle of Ages and Seasons. In the meantime, we'll move on to Zelda since she's really the only character of interest with potential romantic content. The beginning of the game occurs on a stormy night. Link is shown sleeping in his bed when he hears a distressed voice that wakes him, a female voice. She pleads for help, introduces herself as Princess Zelda, and recaps the prologue. As Link gets up, his uncle tells him he's heading out for a while and takes the family sword and shield with him. This already begs the question, why is Zelda telepathically calling out for Link? He didn't have a piece of the Triforce. We know this because Ganon had the full Triforce but was trapped in the Dark World as a result of the Sage's Seal during the Imprisoning Wars. Link was also still a fairly young boy without any reputation as a knight or hero. Is it possible he and Zelda knew each other before the events of the game? Page 7 of the A Link to the Past game manual reveals a little bit more than the in-game text. One night, a girl's voice awakens you, referencing Link, from your sleep. Help me. My name is Zelda. I am in the castle dungeons. You jump out of bed not knowing whether the voice was part of a dream or reality. This night is like no other. The game manual then provokes the questions. Who was Zelda? Where had your uncle gone, and for what reason? Here, the manual implies that Link did not know Zelda prior to her telepathic message, which takes us back to why she called out to Link for help. True love? No, this ain't Disney. What if Link wasn't the only one that heard Zelda's telepathic plea? After all, Link's name was not mentioned anywhere in Zelda's message in either the game or the manual, and why would his uncle randomly leave the house at night with the sword and shield during a storm? This leads me to conclude that it could not have been a coincidence that Link's uncle decided to do this literally right after Link woke up and Zelda's message ended. His uncle must have also heard the same exact words from Zelda's telepathy, which is also supported when Link discovers his critically wounded uncle in the dungeons of Hyrule Castle. It just makes sense that his uncle would have also heard Zelda's plea and tried to go help her, but was nearly killed by the possessed soldiers. Okay, so far we've established that Link did not know Zelda before meeting her in the game, and that Zelda's telepathic plea was not exclusively meant for Link. So far, there's nothing suggesting a romance between Link and Zelda. However, Link's uncle was able to tell Link, Zelda is your, before losing consciousness. Like really dude, you seriously didn't have the energy to finish that last word. Zelda is my what? My destiny? True love? My sister? Okay, that would be a bit awkward. Anyways, the canonical story may never tell what his uncle meant to finish saying, but we can tell that Link and Zelda must have some kind of connection. Unfortunately for this video, it doesn't seem like this is a romantic connection because when Link rescues some of the maidens in the Dark World, they reveal that Link is perhaps the last to carry on the bloodlight of the Knights from the imprisoning wars. So Zelda could be familiar with Link's family, which explains why she knew Link's name but he didn't know hers, and why Link's uncle was also contacted for help. Even when Link frees Zelda at the end of the game, Zelda only seems to express gratitude for being saved, then gets straight down to business and tells him how to defeat Ganon and fix everything. We don't even see any dialogue between Zelda and Link after this. Overall, Link's and Zelda's relationship at this point seem to be purely platonic. Any potential hints of romance so far have very practical explanations to them that do not involve love, so I think we should move on to the Oracle series. As I said earlier, the timeline placement for the two Oracle games are up for debate, but I'll go ahead and do my analysis of both and give two conclusions to satisfy which side you may take on this timeline debate. The first potential love interest I think we should analyze is Maple, potentially the same girl from the GBA remake of A Link to the Past that I previously mentioned. Maple is often found in both Oracle of Ages and Seasons flying around on her broomstick, but her skills are quite questionable. When Maple and Link first meet, she seems rather annoyed with him, but later on becomes more friendly with him. Maple also appears to have a similar personality and role to Irene from A Link Between Worlds, who some fans also like to ship with Link from that game. Of course, them becoming friendly in no way means that there will be a romantic spark, but they're still younger than some of the other heroes, so it's at least worth mentioning. Another fan favorite I just had to include is Din, the Oracle of Seasons herself. Page 4 of the game manual says that Link was immediately struck by the beauty of a young woman who was dancing about in circles. When the girl noticed Link, she smiled brightly and called to him. In the game, one of the troop members even notes that Din seems to be smitten with Link. Din invites Link to dance with her, and in the linked version of the game, she says that her heart lifts when Link is beside her. Also, after the occasions of defeating General Onox and Ganon, Din also implies she and Link will dance together again. To me, Din seems like a prime candidate for the ship. Between the game and the official manual, there's direct evidence to prove Link and Din have mutual feelings of infatuation. On the other hand, Nayru doesn't seem to compete with Din at all. The manual for Oracle of Ages says that Nayru's singing entranced Link and he let her songs penetrate his heart. Other than this and Nayru's thank you at the end of Ages, there isn't really anything to go off of. A very peculiar love interest that comes up during the games is the Maku tree. In Ages, the Maku tree somehow has the hots for Link. When Link saves her in the past, she tells Link that she will repay him when he grows up. Before he leaves that conversation, this intrusive tree shouts, "I'm going to be your bride." Link could get some tree action, but that doesn't really seem very pleasant. Link doesn't seem very fond of this, so unless you want to ship Link with a tree, I think we're done here. I like to bring up that my favorite girl Malon also has an incarnation in Oracle of Seasons, however her appearance is very minor. Her only interaction with Link is for part of a trading sequence, and in this sequence she gives Link a Lon Lon egg and tells Link that they are all the rage with cute girls. Sadly, that's all I can find from Malon in terms of romantic content in this game, but who knows, maybe she left an impression on him. Finally, we get back to Zelda. What's odd about her in these games is she doesn't seem to know Link, at least not very well. If the linked game is completed in Oracle of Ages, Zelda will say, "Thank you for rescuing me. My name is Zelda. You're Link, right? I knew it at first glance. Take this as a thanks for rescuing me." And in Seasons, she says, "Thank you for saving me from danger. My name is Zelda. You must be Link. I knew it at first glance." These would be odd things to say if this truly was the same Link and Zelda from Link to the Past. A possible, though slim explanation could be a couple years may have passed since A Link to the Past. Since Princess Zelda must formally introduce herself so often, she did so with Link out of force of habit and wanted to clarify it was him since it had been some time since they had seen each other. Like I said, a slim chance, but I still think that these games would still fit into this timeline. Anyways, Link and Zelda do have a more romantic ending in the linked version of the games, where Zelda gives Link a kiss on the cheek. She turns away, probably from embarrassment, as hearts appear over Link's head, and I think a bunch of hearts is a pretty good way to show that they both enjoyed it. To recap, I'd say that the most likely ships between Link and the characters we've discussed is a tie between Din and Zelda. Malon could have also left an impression, but there just isn't enough information to go off of for her. If this were Ocarina of Time though, that would be a different story. Now it's time to move on to our last game for this video. Okay everyone, let's be completely honest. We all know Marin is the only real candidate for Link's Awakening, and even if she wasn't, she would destroy that competition. But of course, since this is an analysis video, we still need to talk about her, and boy is there a lot for a Zelda game that was released in 1993. So let's talk about Marin. She's a young redhead girl about Link's age who lives with her father, Terran, on the island of Koholint. After Link's ship is struck by lightning and he washes up on shore, Marin is the one who finds him on the beach and takes him back to her house to recover. When Link wakes up, he is still delirious and calls out Zelda's name. The fact he calls Zelda's name is rather interesting. Why would Link call out Zelda's name in his sleep? Clearly Zelda must be on Link's mind at some level, so this detail suggests that he feels more for Zelda than A Link to the Past may have implied, and if we include the Oracle series in this timeline, this would further strengthen the Z-Link ship. Despite this, Marin doesn't hesitate to share her hopes and desires with him. Later on in the game, Link finds Marin sitting on the beach looking out at the ocean. He sits down and joins Marin as she asks some existential questions, foreshadowing that the entire game is just a dream, and then she opens up to Link. "When I discovered you, Link, my heart skipped a beat. I thought this person has come to give us a message. If I was a seagull, I would fly as far as I could. I would fly to faraway places and sing for many people. If I wish to the windfish, I wonder if my dream will come true." Her dream does in fact come true. After the credits, the camera focuses on a seagull flying across the ocean to squawk at the beachgoers everywhere. This is a sweet detail by the devs, but I don't think Marin's dream is very good. She's a much better singer than a seagull, but that's besides the point. After she shares this dream with Link, she asks Link if he's even listening. If Link nods, then she'll tell him that she wants to know everything about him, and then interrupts herself out of embarrassment. It's pretty obvious right away that Marin has a big crush on Link, but so far Link hasn't shown too much mutual interest. Or has he? Right after this conversation, there's a section of the game where Marin will follow Link around on his adventures on the island. When this section starts, Link holds Marin up like every item he gets out of a treasure chest, and the game text says, "You got Marin. Is this your big chance?" And they say women aren't objects. Okay, in all seriousness, "Is this your big chance?" thrown in there does imply that Link does have affection for Marin as well. After all, this is shown right before Link and Marin go out on a little date. During this portion of the game, Link and Marin have many interactions which can give us some insight suggesting they have mutual romantic interest, and just funny moments that make them a cute couple. Link takes her to a cliff by the beach, and they once again look out at the ocean together. Marin is very cheerful and tells Link, "This is my first walk with you, Link. This cliff will be our secret place." She pauses and gives him a hopeful look. "Aren't you gonna say anything?"
No. No, I don't think I will.
His facial expression is very blank, which is a huge contrast to Marin's giddiness, but I think this could be interpreted as nervousness. And even if it isn't, the majority of all other Links have a blank face even when the game text says they feel strong emotions, such as with Din in Oracle of Seasons. Regardless, this is a very sweet moment, and Marin says this will be their secret place. Perfect, so now they already have their own secret couple's hideout. There's so many other interactions that occur on Link's and Marin's little date, I can't fully explain all of them, but I'll go over the ones with the most significant content for their relationship. If Link breaks a pot in her house, Marin will just shout, "Ah, you are a bad boy, Link," though she doesn't seem very angry. I guess Marin has a thing for bad boys. When the kid Laddie in Mabe Village sees Link and Marin together, he asks, "Hey, where are you two going together?" "Huh? I didn't mean anything, I'm just a kid." Sounds like someone is a little jealous of all the attention Marin has been giving Link. If Link tries to enter the Dream Shrine, which is just a room with a big old bed in it, Marin will say, "You want me to go in there?" "No, I think I'll wait out here," and tells Link to take care of himself. Then she just waits there for Link to come back out. Marin's such a good girl. If Link attempts to enter a previous dungeon with Marin, she'll once again wait outside and upon his return ask him if he's hurt. If he returns with low hearts, she'll also tell him not to be so reckless, which gives me some Breath of the Wild vibes. Marin generally does seem concerned with Link's well-being. A funny thing also happens when Link takes Marin to the trendy game shop. Link pays for Marin to play the game, but she uses the crane to pick up the shop owner by the head, resulting in both her and Link to get kicked out. I don't know why they got kicked out, because I'd call what Marin did a pro-gamer move. Finally, there are many instances where Link will do something and Marin will give him a critical or enthusiastic response and pretends like she said nothing, such as when Link attacks Kuko's, digs with the shovel, and even plays the ocarina. Ironically, Marin tells Link he's not very good when he plays the Ballad of the Windfish on the ocarina, the very song she taught him. I don't know why she has to put him down like that. but at least she's honest. When she taught him the song, she even begged him, please don't ever forget this song, or me. At this point, Marin almost seems aware that she's living in a dream, yet she still loves Link. The very last interaction Link and Marin have together in the game occurs at Tall Heights, when Link has to save her from being stranded on one of the broken bridges. After thanking him, she stutters, "Say, Link, I don't know how to say this, but..." And then she is cut off by Terran, who yells at her from a distance. We don't know exactly what Marin was going to say, but I'm positive it was going to involve directly stating her feelings for him. All of these in-game interactions prove Marin loves Link, but only vaguely suggest Link has mutual feelings for her. Luckily, since the game is a dream, we can use its symbolism to help interpret what goes through Link's head. As Link progresses through the story, he gradually learns that he was brought inside the dream of the Windfish. However, he also has some influence on the dream. Page 102 of the Hyrule Historia further develops this idea by suggesting Marin and Terran were influenced by Link's memories of Malon and Talon from Oracle of Seasons. It's very possible that Marin is quite literally Link's dream girl. After all, Marin keeps a hibiscus flower in her hair, which in North America traditionally is used to symbolize a perfect woman or wife. Marin could easily be influenced by many of his potential love interests we've discussed in this video. This could explain why he calls out Zelda's name only to be corrected by Marin, and if we consider the Oracle games as part of this timeline, Malon and Talon are clearly counterparts to Marin and Terran. Marin has Malon's red hair, or alternatively Din's with the addition of the same brown eye color. Marin also loves to sing, and as we said a while back, Nayru singing penetrated Link's heart, which could have influenced Marin's love of singing in the dream. Okay, these might be coincidences, but that correlation was definitely worth looking into. After Link and the Windfish awaken, Link is just sitting on a drifting board from his destroyed ship looking quite sad, but then looks up to see the Windfish flying around him, and he smiles as we hear the Ballad of the Windfish sung by Marin. If the game is completed without dying, a hallucination of Marin is seen in the sky while the Ballad of the Windfish is softly being sung in the background, and as Marin fades away, a seagull intercepts the camera and flies away, completing the wish Marin shared with Link to be able to fly and share her song with everyone. Even though Marin may not have been a part of Link's reality, their dream relationship is still very sweet, and to her, it was real. When Nintendo remade Link's Awakening for the Switch, they gave the Ballad of the Windfish official lyrics. I'll go ahead and play the original Japanese version for you. On the left, I'll show the direct translations into English, and on the right, I'll show official lyrics sung in the English version of the song.
夢よどうか覚めないで君は願うけれど夢はいつか覚めるものそれが時の定めいつも君の中に
These lyrics truly do show the beauty of Marin's love. Lines such as, "A dream has to end one day," and "I will swim in the sky of your memories. Even after you've awoken from it, the dream will always be inside you," tell us that even though she can no longer be with him, Marin will always be one of Link's happy memories, and her love will always be with him. While the Japanese lyrics appear to be Marin's message for Link after everything has ended, the English version is presented as a message she'd say to Link in person, perhaps what she could have said to Link at Tall Heights before she was interrupted. Her asking Link to stay by her side and hold her hand clarifies their love, and the final lines, "Dream with me by the sea," and "watching the waves crash," references their secret place. And of course, she ends her song by asking Link to think of her while he holds her hand, knowing that her existence will fade into his memories. At this point, the seagull fulfilling her dream of sharing her song with everyone is less significant. I interpret this last line of her flying as she can be happy knowing she'll forever be in Link's heart, which I think is the beauty of love and why Marin and Link are now one of my favorite ships. So there we have it. If we're considering the Oracle of Seasons and Ages into the timeline between A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, of course I'd have to say Marin is by far the best ship. Sure, she isn't real, but nevertheless, the world felt real to Link and she literally was his dream girl. We don't even know if Link survived after that. At the end of the game, Link was just drifting out in the middle of the ocean, so we don't know if he ever lived to have the possibility with Zelda. However, if we're interpreting the timeline so the Oracle games are a totally different Link and era, I'd have to say Zelda is the strongest ship, and this is pretty close too. Din and Link definitely seem to have a thing, but Link and Zelda will likely both end up in Hyrule, whereas Din and Nayru would likely stay in Holodrum and Labrina. I like Din a lot, but Zelda is probably the more realistic ship if we're only looking at the Oracle games. Who do you think is the best ship for Link in these games? Thank you all so much for your support with this series, it truly does mean a lot to me. To show my appreciation, I've started a Discord server which will go public at the release of this video. Also, be sure to keep an eye on the community tab so you can vote on the next episode of this series. Thanks for watching guys, and stay nerdy y'all.